the senior sales manager with First Texas Products. I've been enjoying this hobby since 1977, and it just keeps getting better and better. The F75 is my machine of choice. Part of the reason is the 11-inch DD coil. One of the other features of this machine that is very well respected is the fast retune speed. It allows for great separation between targets, especially iron. This is how I would set my machine. Sites like this are typically loaded with iron. Nails, horseshoes, hinges, all kinds of stuff. So what I would do is I would set it in the default mode. Well, let's start with sensitivity first. Generally, you can set this as high as you want until it starts to make noise. I'll just show you. I'm going to turn this up. Wow, the ground is pretty clean here. It's not chattering at all. Now there's a little bit. There we go. So I usually hunt in the 60s or the 70s. You don't want to overpower this machine. It's very sensitive. Let the machine tell you where to set it by setting that where it's quiet. And there is a happy medium. You can overpower these. You can set the sensitivity too high and actually lose depth on some targets. All right, disc level. On this machine, 1 through 15 is iron, but I like to hear the iron. I don't necessarily want to dig it all the time, but I want to hear it. So I set my disc at about 6 or 7, just so that I can hear it, and that'll knock out the really teeny, pesky ones, so I'll only hear the larger ones. A notch I don't bother with. Number of tones, I like 2F. What 2F does is it gives you anything below 15 and below, any iron target will give you a low grunt. Anything above will give you a high zip. That way I can tell iron and I can tell good targets, and I have a good separation between them. Process is DE is the default mode. Default mode has the fastest retune speed, which is something you want on a site like this, because you're going to have a lot of good targets next to a lot of bad iron targets. You need the good separation. The fast retune speed will give you that separation. There is a boost. That's jewelry mode. That's bottle cap, plowed field, and boost process. You can hear how it's chattering as I got into that. This is a more sensitive mode. It's actually deeper, but it has a slower retune speed, and that's how we get the depth. But a slower retune speed is not the best mode to be hunting in when you have a lot of iron targets mixed in with good ones, because you want the fast retune speed to get the separation between those two. So on a site like this, I'll hunt in the default mode. Now if I get to a spot where there's no iron, and I can tell because I've got the disc at 7, I'll be able to hear it. If I get to an area that's got targets with no iron, I might switch over to the boost mode to get the added depth. But generally on sites like this that haven't been plowed, the artifacts aren't too deep, at least here in Wisconsin. So that's how I'll be setting it today. And you don't want to overpower this machine. It's very sensitive. Let the machine tell you where to set it. On this machine, 1 through 15 is iron, but I like to hear the iron. I don't necessarily want to dig it all the time, but I want to hear it. So I set my disc at about 6 or 7, and that'll knock out the really teeny, pesky one. What 2F does, the iron target will give you a low grunt. Anything above will give you a high zip. That way I can tell iron and I can tell good targets, and I have a good separation between them. Default mode has the fastest retune speed, which is something you want on a site like this, because you're going to have a lot of good targets next to a lot of bad iron targets. You need the good separation. The fast retune speed will give you that separation.